Hello, everyone. Don't get it wrong. The issue isn't that Rodri isn't coming, and that's why I'm upset, and so are many others. It's just that there's relatively little time left in the transfer window. The weeks go by so quickly. And the midfield, and there are already reports in that direction, in Diario AS, for example, it took Jose Felix Diaz no time at all, like 0.2 seconds to come out and say the official version that it was Rodri who didn't want to come. Now, let's get to that. They're already saying no, that Mourinho has already been told to make do with what he has. And what he has is this: Valverde, Chouameni, Camavinga, Bellingham, Güler, and Bernardo Silva. And there are people who say, but their midfield is awesome. It's hard to believe considering where we come from, 2 years where they've just watched everything go by through the midfield while they were chasing shadows. Some teams play like that against you, but with others, if you don't control the midfield, what's the point? Might as well go home. But the teams you're going to face in La Liga and the Champions League do that to you. And if you don't have that missing piece in the midfield, well, I hope I'm wrong, but the same thing is going to keep happening. I mean, the old saying, if you keep doing the same things are going to keep happening to you. And with an amazing summer in terms of signings, just amazing. Bernardo is incredible. Cucurella, need I say more? I love Dan Friese. It's incredible that the most important signing that you had to make. Well, there were two, a left-footed centre-back. They didn't sign one. They brought in Konate. Mourinho's like, well, we don't know Mourinho's opinion about Konate. They basically dropped him in his lap. Mourinho had to accept Konate. Let's see. And then a holding midfielder. Neither of the two for now. And hopefully someone will come, because there are people telling me, no, well, someone else will come. Sorry, but you were this close to making up your mind. You were about to decide to do the same thing as with Cucurella. How much are you asking for this? Come on, here you go. Boom, that's it. 24 hours and it's done. You've got the left back you needed. Madrid was right there. This thing about signing the best, you're going to tell me, yeah, 29 years old, 30 years old, torn ACL, I don't care. The best player at the World Cup and possible Ballon d'Or winner this year. Not just from the World Cup, but overall. He could be, damn it, the best. Madrid has to sign the best. The thing is, there were people inside the club, starting with the president, who had to be convinced, since he wasn't completely sure about signing Rodri. And that dead calm, that thing, well, it turned into, if not, they would just say no. Even if it's just a saying, like, if you don't get that guy, someone else will, right? Well, that's what happened. But of course, there are people who say, no, a really good midfield. Let's see if this metaphor makes sense, if this comparison makes sense. What we see here is like having an awesome living room in a house, right? An awesome chair, beautiful, a lamp that gives off its light, very nice. Another chair, you need it, right? Are you going to sit there alone? At least have a guest, someone, an awesome painting, a beautiful painting, a vase. Hey, a vase, the nicest one, that cost you a fortune. The vase, of course, and that's it. But don't you realize that the table is missing? The damn table. There's no table. There hasn't been a table for a long time now in the Madrid living room. Everything looks very nice, but there's no table. Are we supposed to eat on the floor? Eat standing up. We'll have to put a table so we can eat, and so the two people sitting in the chairs have a table there, so that it works, so that the living room works. If you walk into a house and see a living room without a table, and you notice the table is missing, that's it. Well, guys, that's it. And what's amazing is that, of course, because this one is really good. Now, the same reports, whoever's working off that same information, and it took them no time at all to get it out already, that it was Rodri who didn't want to come to Real Madrid, and that Madrid did everything possible. Now, we also hear, when we read what the agent said on El Larguero, which he's probably already putting up for me, but have you seen what the agent said? Of course, there's an explanation for that. Don't worry. The same people who are already saying the Real Madrid version, the one they're being told to say, like, no, it was Rodri who didn't want to come. Those same people are the ones saying that with the midfield we already have, it's great. I can see it. Diario AS, September 1st. The signing is Camavinga. He has impressed everyone in training. He's better than ever. And I posted this on Twitter, and people were like, hey, we signed so-and-so. Come on. You didn't get the reference. Not even the joke, of course. Is a player coming for that position? The signing is Camavinga, right? Now he's really going to be a defensive midfielder now. Great, because he's already learned the trade, because Mourinho has already told him what he needs to do. No, and Tchouaméni overnight is suddenly going to know how to turn perfectly. He's going to be an all-around player. And look, let me be clear. I don't want to criticize Tchouaméni. For me, he's a great player and deserves to be at Real Madrid, and he's been one of the best in recent years. But he's not Kroos. He's not what Madrid needs. He's not. Rodri was. Hey, if tomorrow they tell me Boadi, the Moroccan, I'd say, well, he's got more years ahead. Perfect, looks promising, but he hasn't been the best at the World Cup. He's never won the Ballon d'Or. He didn't win the World Cup Golden Ball. He shows a lot of promise, but you know what? City is going to have him. But what I'm getting at is Madrid is going after Rodri, because Madrid has already admitted that they're going after Rodri. They were after Rodri. Okay, now suddenly, since Rodri has decided no, not anymore. We want a defensive midfielder. But how does that make sense? If we were going after Rodri, it was because we needed a defensive midfielder, a holding midfielder, right? So why not now? But what kind of policy is this? If you need a specific player in a specific position, you're about to sign him because you wanted him. In theory, you wanted to sign him, right? Not as much as you should have, right? Like Madrid should have done. But anyway, and suddenly he says, no, bad luck. So we just stay as we are? No, damn it, right? If you just paid 225 plus 15 in add-ons for Diomande, if money isn't a problem, if they've basically renewed Vinicius on the terms he asked for, because they're going to tell you it's not a signing bonus, but it's a loyalty bonus. Did you go along with it? To a certain extent, not completely. But, and listen, the image rights issue, that's going to be addressed. They've already said it's going to be addressed, but well, hey, Vinicius has gone all the way with this. With this, Madrid has gone along with something, and Florentino has accepted something he hadn't accepted before. Not with Sergio Ramos or with Cristiano. The circumstances are a bit different, but still similar things. Players who have already become legends at Real Madrid, who were asking for a salary increase to stay. It's true that they were at different ages, but in those situations, Real Madrid said, I'm not going to go along with this. They didn't go along with it for those players, but for this one, they did. Well, I said in yesterday's video that I'm happy because Vini renewed his contract. He's been the best player at Real Madrid in recent years, but of course, even during the 2 bad years. I'm absolutely in favor, and I've been saying it. There are people who tell me, no, you're not happy that Vini renewed, but I am happy that Vini renewed. Mind you, the Vini we know, the one who's decisive. But something has happened with Vini in the last few years, which doesn't happen with Mbappe, and nobody can move Mbappe from there because he just signed, so to speak. Point number 1. Point number 2, you renew his contract for 6 years, and he's going to be earning those 25 million plus the bonuses, plus who knows what else, plus the expanded image rights and all that. We'll see. I think so, until he's 32 years old, my friend. And something happened with Vini in the last year, by the way, that hadn't happened before, which was decisive. So that, along with others, but at least on the more visible side of things, was it to get a coach fired or to make a coach's situation more complicated? Who wasn't to blame for what was happening in there, or at least not entirely to blame. And that doesn't speak very well of that player either. I mean, what's my point? That maybe Vini hadn't really earned such a big salary increase. Well, that's another story, but do you want a defensive midfielder? Did you try to sign one? He says he's not coming, so you're not going after a defensive midfielder anymore? What happened? Are you okay with this or not? Fine. No chair in the living room. Great. Well, the living room is going to look great. Great. Okay. I hope that, and well, it's just, oh my God, when Spain versus France is the sign that football is heading that way. You're going in the opposite direction. You keep going in the opposite direction compared to the last 2 or 3 years. You keep going that way. Sorry, but it's just, that's why I say it's not Rodri. People keep talking about Rodri, but no, it's not Rodri. Isn't there a defensive midfielder you pretty much already had lined up, and it just so happens? I don't care if it's Rodri or Radra or Rudri. I don't care, because I don't have to like that guy or anything. Damn it. He was the best. He's proven to be the best. All right. Mouthpieces. Another one of the mouthpieces. Come on. Synchronized opinion team. Melchor Ruiz. A classic. I see, I hear, and I listen to a lot of Real Madrid fans who are angry because another self-appointed gatekeeper, because Real Madrid didn't sign Rodri. The reality is that Rodri preferred Barcelona's offer. Arantxa Rodriguez is also there. Paul de Tenorio as well. Now, I'll share a conversation that Paul and I had there. Hey, Paul, fantastic. I've always used him here as an example, a guy I really like, his opinions and all that on this issue. I think, like others at Real Madrid television, they'll have to forgive me. Sorry. It's nothing personal against them, but I think that, and others who don't work at Real Madrid television but have, come on, the first information always gets to them, like Jose Felix and a few others who just say what the club tells them. Sorry, because of course, well, I insist, several people are going with this, an official version that Madrid is pushing, and that is already being leaked by Madrid. They haven't done anything publicly, and they've already been leaking things out there, so these people repeat it. This is Paul Tenorio, who says the following: I find it incredible to cry over a player who has left Madrid hanging. And besides, that's already, no, isn't it? That he finally decided to say no to Madrid. Already, he's left them hanging, right? You're already throwing the player under the bus. Well, if we're going to play hardball, then we all play hardball, right? He literally says about leaving Madrid hanging, he says, and that he prefers Barca. I don't understand anything around here today. I replied to him with the official version the club leaks to you, the same official versions the club shared back in the day. For example, that James didn't leave for free when it was later found out that he did leave for free, but the club had said, at the time, they said that James had brought in some money for the club, that Xavi left by mutual agreement. That's a lie too. That's what the club said. Sorry, but if I speak honestly, people will criticize me or stop following me, asking if I'm against the club. I can't say anything other than what I think. Some things are just too obvious. Because what happened with Xavi wasn't by mutual agreement, or better yet, do you remember this? Recently, what happened with Fede and Tchouaméni was supposed to be normal, like what happens every year, right? That's what we were told, you know when, right? The famous press conference, those things that happen every year, two players fighting, of course. That's why they gave both of them the biggest fines in the club's history, from the club's point of view, from a disciplinary standpoint, because it happens like it always does. They gave it to both of them, right? Of course. So they tell it, and all these yes men come out. Exactly, that's it. And well, that's it, guys, Paul Tenorio tells me. According to my information here, there's another one that supports it. This one comes from the pro Rodriguez camp. That's fine. This happened on El Larguero last night. Rodriguez's agent, I could play you the audio. It's Anton Meana telling what Rodriguez's agent told him. Rodriguez's agent. Okay, and this man, according to Meana, what now? Now, it turns out we believe Meana, but anyway, the agent, I mean, not me. I've always shared Meana's information here, but well, others are turning to Meana. They say he's the anti, right? At another time. The antichrist of Madridismo. And well, anyway, and now that Mourinho is coming, do you remember that story about the 11 locking himself in a room and all that? Well, this gentleman said, according to Meana, Rodri's agent, the offer is irresistible, and they praise Real Madrid's class in negotiations, noting that the president, CEO, and club staff helped make it possible for the player to join Real Madrid. The conversations were positive in these last weeks, but Rodri Hernandez ended up making another choice, and today he communicated it to Real Madrid to thank them for the way they handled the talks over these past weeks. It's a personal decision by Rodri, and not because Real Madrid didn't go all out to sign him. This, I don't know if it's a bit more of Naniño storytelling, who was also upset about this Rodriguez thing. By the way, shouldn't I put storytelling here? But from what I remember hearing, look, come on, look, here it is. I mean, let's listen to it better. So we don't say something that's not true. Sorry, say something that's not right. This is what they were talking about last night on El Larguero, and Naniño is also posting it here. Naniño.
News of the day, what happened?
Anyone listening to El Larguero must be wondering right now.
For Rodriguez to have turned down Real Madrid's offer, Anton Meana, good evening. I'm here, Benito. How are you? Good evening. Let's get straight to the point because the information is direct and it's not worth beating around the bush. Cadena Ser got in touch this afternoon with Pablo Barquero, Rodriguez's agent. And in a calm phone conversation explaining the negotiation, he told us that Real Madrid made a very good offer to Rodriguez. After the World Cup, conversations begin just minutes later.
Careful. A good offer to Rodri, not Rodriguez. I want this to be clear. About Rodriguez, the club says nothing.
A few days after Spain wins the World Cup in New Jersey, the offer is irresistible. He says it's really good that both he and Rodri appreciate the courtesy, the class, the respect, the way Madrid has handled the negotiation, that Madrid has seriously gone after Rodri, and that they've put everything on the table so Rodri could play for Madrid. From the president to the CEO to the people who work at the club, everyone has worked so that Rodri could play for Real Madrid. The conversations have been positive. They've been negotiating these last 2 weeks, but Rodri has made the decision to choose another offer, to choose another option. And for that reason, today he has informed Real Madrid so as not to keep anyone in suspense, not to deceive anyone, and to thank Real Madrid for the way they have treated Rodri during these 2 weeks of conversations. As I said, after a period in which, during the World Cup and during the season, there had been no contact. It all happened after the World Cup ended, after Spain won the trophy in New Jersey. And as I said in the conversation we had with Rodri's agent, he emphasized Real Madrid's behavior, Real Madrid's offer, and the fact that the club was seriously pursuing Rodri. But Rodri's decision is to accept another offer. And for that reason, today the door is closed for Rodri to play for Madrid next season. But he closes the door. Rodri is grateful for the way he was treated, for the way Madrid treated him. But he closes the door. Rodri is grateful for the way Madrid treated him. And because the offer they made him is worthy of a World Cup Golden Ball winner. Well, what is the agent going to say in a conversation that he might have with Real Madrid in the future for another of his clients? Is Rodri's agent going to close the door?
With Real Madrid, this agent, is he going to speak badly about Real Madrid? What is he going to say? By the way, Madrid was already interested in Rodri back in the spring, even before that. Ramon Alvarez from Mons spoke back in January at the end of last year about that interest from Real Madrid in Rodri because he knew his contract was going to end. He was going into the summer with 1 year left on his contract and so on. Madrid is starting to lose trust in Rodri to the point that before the World Cup, Madrid no longer wants to sign Rodri. And another important thing, he had already agreed on the other candidate in the Real Madrid elections because the conversation that Real Madrid lo tenía palabrado. Florentino Perez was no longer interested in Rodri. He approaches the other candidate, talks to Rodri, tells him, if I win, I'll sign you. And the other says, okay. Because Rodri, and today they've recovered clips of the footballer, still with City, who's going to play for Barca. Saying at the time, if Real Madrid calls you, you have to consider it because it's the best club, one of the best clubs in history. You know, all the praise, the trophy. And until recently, during Spain's training camp, when they talked like, hey, Real Madrid is coming, well, I mean, he didn't close the door and couldn't say, let them come, I'll sign, right? He couldn't say it publicly there. It's a conversation where Rodri has hinted at Madrid a million times, but Madrid didn't make up their mind until 2 days later when we had to say, let him come, I'll sign. No, he couldn't say it publicly there. But Rodri has approached Madrid countless times. World Cup. And then when he talks to Rodri, Rodri says, damn, okay, fine. Indeed, they make an offer to Rodri, not to City, to Rodri, a good one. I think the one from Barca has to be better, but anyway, because Barca is going to pay him 30 million euros gross, 15 net. I doubt Madrid would pay that much. They might offer something similar since signing a Ballon d'Or winner, World Cup Golden Ball, and possible Ballon d'Or this year is huge. No one else has those trophies. The World Cup matters a lot. Maybe Rodri will win it. If you sign him, you're not going to leave him at a lower salary level. The conversation we've had highlights that, and the World Cup is extremely important. Maybe Rodri will win it. You'll need to raise it and offer 10 to 15 million euros net, in my opinion. So what I'm saying is, if he wins the trophy, I think it'll be millions of euros net. That's what I think. In the conversation, it's a very good offer, of course. Of course, we've made a very good offer, of course. But what's going on? What about Rodri's agent about winning the trophy? And I say, if he wins the trophy, about signing to go. Spain wins the jersey. That's why it ends up being decided that Spain has already won the trophy. And as I said in the conversation, Rodri's agent, what's happening at Madrid, there's a very serious dual power structure that in many ways is really hurting the club. And there was a little devil whispering here to Florentino Perez on this side, telling him not to sign him because, look, he's injured, etc., etc. Another said, come on, let's go for him. And so the footballer picks up on that. And how does he pick up on it? Because, and here's the main point, this counters everything people say about what the agent told Anton Meana on El Larguero. Rodrigo picks up that Madrid doesn't really want to go all in for him when with City, instead of solving it in 24 hours like they did with Cucurella, how much do you want? Boom. No, wait. And they make a first offer that City considers insufficient and even annoys City with an offer of 40 to 45 million because City was asking for 80. If Madrid is determined, Madrid doesn't miss out on anyone, especially not a Ballon d'Or winner. Florentino Perez has never missed out on a Ballon d'Or winner, especially with the player already convinced. That gets done quickly before Rodri thinks or before his Spanish national team teammates who play for Barca get in his head. Or what if Laporta shows up noticing that things haven't been decided yet to tell him, it's not just me who wants you here, we all want you. and to give him that confidence, that love that he didn't feel at Madrid, because they had already told him that Florentino, at first yes, then no. Then they finally convince him. And then they also tell Rodri that there are people inside the club who don't really convince him because of that dual leadership and the number of people whispering in the president's ear. And Rodri sees that at Barca, they want him more. And look, I mean, obviously, since I'm a Madrid fan, for me, no matter how many doubts there are, let them look at Real Madrid and the security they see, and let them look at Barca. I support Real Madrid, but I'm a Madrid fan, while Rodri isn't, you know what I mean, right? Figo wasn't either, right? He was a Barca fan when he came to Madrid, and we really love Figo and everyone here. And Ronaldo, the first one, the chubby one, who signed with Barca before Real Madrid. Real Madrid history. The other day with Florentino Perez during the campaign, hugging him and everything. Ronaldo played for Barca first. So this thing about people saying, oh, he's not a Madrid fan, what does that even matter? But of course, well, it's important because of what I'm saying. Because if you're caught between two sides, in the end, you end up choosing one or the other. Because in the end, well, it doesn't really matter to you in terms of your heart, because Rodri isn't a Barca fan either. And that's what happens. So, of course, they tell you that the club's version is that, no, in the end, he said no, he was the one who said no. Yeah, but what happened before that? What happened before? Madrid never loses this type of player. No way. They should have solved this in 24 or 48 hours. But if we ended up paying an outrageous amount because of them and we gave Vinicius what he asked for, at least in part, in large part, there was no money left to raise the offer a little more. And to make it clear to the player that indeed, beyond the agreement with him, we were going to pay all this to his club. I mean, we were going to pay what the club was asking for or get close to what the club was asking for. Well, Real Madrid didn't make a decision. I don't know if it was because they were involved in other deals that got a bit complicated, like Diomandé's, or because they were thinking of a strategy that clearly hasn't worked out, just waiting a bit. And look, I don't want to act like I know everything here either. I said it in the last video when I was recording in the car. I can't say that at the time I thought that deal was a bad idea either. I agreed that taking it slow and staying calm was a good approach. But in light of what happened, when you have a player who, and besides Rodri wanted to go to Spain. And in Spain, who could sign him? He wasn't returning to Atletico de Madrid or Villarreal, where he'd already played. To Real Madrid or Barcelona? Damn, you were ahead in the deal. They say City contacts Laporta asking if he wants to sign Rodri, and Laporta replies that Rodri already has an agreement with Madrid, doesn't he? I don't know what City told him, but they must have said, well, yes, but if you push a little, City apparently gets along better with Barca than with Madrid. And look, between one thing and another, they haven't managed to snatch the player. Sorry this is taking so long. I might be a bit annoying. It's not about football anymore. It's not about who he is. It's about what he represents. A player you've been missing for the last 2 years, and the absence of this kind of footballer has been key in the collapse over these last 2 seasons at Real Madrid. A fundamental piece, this signing, not because of the name, but because it's for the summer's most important position. And you're not being serious. Well, that's it then. So this is what happened. Well, from my point of view, I wish you all the best. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share, hype up the video, please. It really helps those of you who made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.